Good happy Wednesday evening. It's July 13, 2022. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Wednesday evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Wednesday evening, so let's get started right now. First up, suspicious death in Winchester under investigation. A suspicious death in Winchester is under investigation, officials said Wednesday. No details have been released in the case other than that the death was at a home in the community. News 9 has a crew headed to the scene. This is a breaking news story. It will be updated as more information becomes available into our newsroom. Investigators conducting ground search off Route 112 in connection with Maura Murray's disappearance. Search underway Wednesday. A ground search was underway Wednesday in connection with the 2004 disappearance of a Massachusetts college student. Officials with the New Hampshire Attorney General's office announced the search in connection with the Maura Murray investigation was being conducted off Route 112 in Landolph and Easton, about 4 miles from where her car was found abandoned in 2004. This is simply going back and searching areas that have already been searched before, said Assistant Attorney General Jeff Sturgeon. This is something we do a lot of our cases. Sturgeon said officials typically don't notify the public, but in this case the search was so large it would raise public curiosity or alarm. So a release went out after the family was notified. I'm just so happy, said Julie Murray, Maura Murray's sister. I mean, I'm nervous, but this is big news for the investigation. Teams walked into the woods in a line, fanning out and poking into the brush. Dogs were also used in the search operation. The goal is to cover ground that has been previously covered, but to do a more extensive search, Sturgeon said. Observantly, the hope with any of these searches is to find any evidence that might be relevant to this case. Officials said there is no new information that prompted the operation. Maura Murray's family said they are grateful but optimistic. Her father, Fred Murray, has been unrelenting in his effort to keep the investigation active. He's hopeful, Julie Murray said. It's all that a family like mine could ask for, that the investigation team is investigating. Our biggest fear is that Maura becomes a file in a cabinet. She said the search shows that investigators are actively working on the case, and the fact that they are out there on the ground, boots on the ground, just brings a huge smile to my face. And I don't care if my dad's not smiling. I'm going to make him smile today, she said. Maura Murray was last seen on February 9th, 2004, when her vehicle was involved in a single car crash on Route 112 in North Haverhill. After the crash, police received 2 calls from 2 residents reporting a car off the road. The first call came in at 7:27 p.m. A local bus driver later told investigators he saw a woman standing outside the black Saturn. An officer arrived at 7:46 p.m. and found the car locked with nobody around. She was never seen again. Maura Murray had driven to northern New Hampshire from college, where she was a nursing student at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. It's not clear why she left, but the day before she left campus, she searched for directions to Burlington, Vermont, which were found in the car. On February 9th, the day she vanished, she sent an email to teachers saying there has been a death in the family and she would be away. She made a call to Stowe, Vermont, but never made reservations. She also called for information on a condominium in Bartlett where she had stayed with her family. Her father thinks that's why she was on Route 112, which connects to Route 16 and 302 in the direction of Bartlett. On April 3rd, 2019, investigators dug up part of the basement of a home on Route 112 in an attempt to find evidence in the search for Maura Murray. Associate Assistant Attorney General Jeff Sturgeon said the home has been a target of increased speculation by private citizens who thought there might be a body in the basement. Ground portenting radar used by private citizens indicated that the ground under the basement had been disturbed, Sturgeon said. Search dogs also indicated there might be something in the area, but Sturgeon said law enforcement officials did not believe there was enough credible evidence to get a search warrant. The current homeowners allowed state police and FBI agents to search the basement, but Sturgeon said they found no remains. Then, in January of this year, the FBI created a violent criminal apprehension profile for Maura Murray. It's a way for multiple agencies in different jurisdictions to share information. Maura Murray's sister, Julie Murray, said. And you can watch The Hometown Tragedy, The Mystery of Maura Murray on very local channel. Questions remain after false alarm sounds at Seabrook Station nuclear plant. The nuclear plant says it's still investigating the incident. Questions are continuing to be asked about a mistaken emergency broadcast sent Tuesday by the Seabrook Station nuclear power plant. Seabrook Station has not commented beyond a spokesperson telling News 9 that the plant is investigating how the alert was mistakenly sent out during testing of the system. Many along the coast heard the warning on speakers that are set up within a 10-mile radius of the plant, telling them to leave the beach, close all doors and windows, and turn into a local radio station for more information. Because there was no real emergency, there was no information on local radio. Some said they were left frightened and frustrated, not knowing what to do. Facebook posts, texts, and alerts from state officials did not go out for an hour or more. New Hampshire Department of Safety said it didn't learn right away that the alert was false. The plant did not immediately notify the department that this was an inadvertent activation. The department said in a written statement, "As soon as we learned it was our Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Management took action to inform the public." Emergency management officials in Rye said that while they cannot speak for the Seabrook plant, they drill for such situations in their network did a good job confirming it was a false alarm in getting the information out in half an hour. But thankfully that it wasn't a real situation, and let's look forward and make sure that our response in Seabrook's response and the state's response is going to continue to be the best we can do and will improve because of this, said Rye Fire Chief. Officials said the incident serves as a reminder for people living within a 10-mile radius, which includes 18 communities, including the city of Portsmouth, to be prepared and know what to do. Next, Air, Energy, and the State Departments of Homeland Security have put together a guide on what to do in an emergency, and you can see that guide in the link in this article. We will share the article with you on the Riley King Network Facebook page after the broadcast. Former New Hampshire police chief weighs in on leaked video from Uvalde school shooting. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
A new experience is coming to New Hampshire, filled with excitement, a new destination, a place to experience tradition, experience cutting-edge innovation, experience history, the new 6-Hour Experience Center.
Marissa, tonight we talked to Richard Mello, who most recently was the chief of police in Lebanon, but has been in law enforcement for nearly 30 years. Mello has taken many active shooter trainings over those years and says ever since the Columbine High School massacre in 1999, officers have been instructed to immediately go to the sounds of gunshots and stop the shooter. He says running to the danger is part of the job to save lives. Mello says it appears police responded quickly to Robb Elementary School and were in a position to act quickly to stop the violence, but did not do so. He says transparency is important in law enforcement, so this video is important and likely will lead to changes.
It was definitely cause of concern. They had a lot of staff there. They had a lot of police presence there. There were still gunshots erupting down in the classroom down the hallway. And the prevailing thought and prevailing training regimen would say to move towards that sound of gunfire.
Mello says that surveillance video will probably lead to changes in police training as well as school safety, with the hopes of preventing another tragedy from happening. Reporting live tonight, Mike Cronin, WMUR News 9.
And Greenland Police Chief Tara Laurent also spoke out on social media saying she felt compelled to share her thoughts. In a scathing statement, she said watching the video made her feel embarrassed and horrified of the inaction of the officers. She went on to say that in a similar situation, police in New Hampshire would have acted with greater urgency.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Sorry about that. We're having a little technical difficulties. Man accused in crash that killed 7 motorcyclists in court for final pre-trial hearing. Zazowski, 26, faces charges after crash killed 7 people in Randolph 3 years ago. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
If you have ever dreamed of having granite or quartz countertops in your kitchen, but thought it was too expensive, Bob's Granite...
Vladimir Zukovsky enters a Coos County courtroom Tuesday morning. The 26-year-old is accused of causing a crash on Route 2 in Randolph that killed 7 members of the Jarheads Motorcycle Club in 2019. He faces multiple charges, including negligent homicide, manslaughter, driving under the influence, and reckless conduct. During Tuesday's pretrial hearing, logistics were set in place for Zukovsky's upcoming trial. 18 jurors will be selected. They will be taken on a visit to the crash site. More than 100 witnesses are expected to testify. 62 of those witnesses are from New Hampshire. At one point, the defense said it would like to question a forensic toxicologist who is set to testify to specifically ask her about her company, NMS Laboratories, which the defense says has been found to use unethical practices in the past during cases in other states.
It's important for the jury in order to understand whether or not the practices that they used in this case, which are certainly subject to question, are scientifically sound.
But prosecutors say the witness has no knowledge of that information and calls the request, quote, a backdoor attempt to smear the lab.
The defense are seeking to attack the witnesses, essentially, the forensic toxicologist, by imputing the organization for which she works.
The judge is taking that request under advisement. All right, so this trial is expected to begin on July 26th at 9 a.m. It will likely last between 2 to 3 weeks. Reporting live in Lancaster, I'm Tim Callery, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Biden heads to Middle East for the first time as president. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Once I did tell my story, the whole world knew about it.
We're still fighting for equality. We're still fighting for respect.
We get a chance to play something that we've always wanted to play.
With inflation and high gas prices topping his agenda here at home, President Biden is heading to the Middle East this morning, his first trip to the region since taking office. Our senior White House correspondent, Mary Bruce, is in Jerusalem with the latest on that. Good morning to you, Mary.
Amy, good morning. Yeah, the president just arriving here a short while ago. This is his first visit to the Middle East as president, and it is a controversial one. His focus here over the next 4 days, countering the threat from Iran, trying to get more oil into the U.S., and also resetting the relationship with Saudi Arabia. And for that, Biden knows he is going to be criticized. It is a reversal after Biden, as a candidate, pledged to make the kingdom a global pariah, in his words, for its killing of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi. But now, in a few days, Biden is set to meet with the Crown Prince, who the U.S. concluded approved of that brutal murder. But now Biden says it's important to engage with Saudi Arabia to try and counter Russia and outcompete China. But first, Biden has a very busy day first here in Jerusalem. He will be getting briefed on the Iron Dome missile defense system and visiting the Holocaust Memorial. George.
Mary Bruce, thanks.
Well, hey there, GMA fans.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. That does it for this evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Thank you for tuning in and watching. Have a great evening. Good night and goodbye.